So I've been meaning to make a topic on this for about a week now, since my friend and I finally finished the Dressrosa arc in One Piece. The Dressrosa arc is probably one of the longest arcs of this series. I think it lasted about 3 to 4 years for the anime, and 3 to 4 years in manga. Now, when I say 3 to 4 years, I mean actual time to finally finish in real life. And it had so many people divided when it came to the One Piece series, because at the time, when it came to Dressrosa, many were either saying it was one of the worst arcs of One Piece, many were saying it was okay, and many said it was a great arc, but overall, many can actually agree that when it came to it at the time, many didn't like it because of the pacing issues it had, and it was one of the big reasons to why many dropped the anime of One Piece, myself included. Yes, I stopped watching the One Piece anime thanks to the Dressrosa arc, and I agreed with many people in the past. I've always said that it was definitely one of the big reasons why I stopped watching the anime is because the pacing was just atrocious, and it obviously seemed like Toei didn't really care that much when it came to the series because of how it looks sometimes. Now, I finally got to actually rewatch it and actually get to see for the first time some scenes I never got to see in the anime, and I watch it in a full one go. For instance, binge watching it with my friend. Now, I already knew that I didn't like the arc the first time around. Like, when I first watched it and all that, I didn't finish it, but when I first watched it, and because I dropped it, I didn't like it because of the pacing, to how long the recap was, the opening song. There was just a lot of things to factor in, and I told my friend straight up when, like, we really started the series, is like, look, there is going to come a time in the series to when it's going to probably start showing some pacing issues. I just was straight up with him, letting him know that before he really got into One Piece, and he says, like, it's fine. And after watching the arc, I dare say that I enjoyed a lot more than I did the first time around. Now, I'm going to clarify why I think this, just give me a moment. But let's kind of get into why many didn't like the arc, okay? Why did people drop it, and what was the issues it had? Okay, so as I already briefly stated, one of the big reasons was because of the pacing. When it came to the anime of One Piece Dressrosa arc, the pacing of it was pretty freaking atrocious. And the reason why is because Toei Animation, the people that animate One Piece, they typically only animate a chapter, maybe sometimes half a chapter, of One Piece manga. For instance, you know how usually a One Piece chapter, how it's like sometimes 16 to 18 pages long? Well, they basically took an 18-page chapter and they adapted it into one episode. So when you think about it like that, sometimes episodes can feel very slow. Granted, a lot of chapters in that arc felt very slow as well, because a lot of characters were either just talking or running to one destination to another, and so when you try to adapt that into an anime, obviously it's going to probably be feeling even worse, especially when you throw in like a 5-minute recap. Yes, that was probably one of the big reasons why people didn't like it, is because it wasn't just the pacing, but Toei had a 5-minute recap, if you're counting, like, you know, the opening song as well. Sometimes it went even to 6 minutes. But basically the point is that it really just came down to how slow it felt at the time, and that's what really drove many people to not really like it, because it just felt like it was dragging. And like I said, this was going on for about 3 to 4 years, real time. People that were up to date with the series, with Dressrosa in the anime and manga, they were having to deal with this for years. And so, after already probably reading it in the manga, and been seeing in the anime, many are like, I don't want to see this a second time over, since it's just only doing one chapter at a time. So many are like, I'm just done, and they just stuck to the manga, and they never went back to the anime ever again, just because of how it was being done. And so it's understandable why many didn't really like it, because of just how it was. Now, I finally rewatched it, finally finished it. My friend and I finished it a week ago, and I'm now in the middle of Whole Cake Island with him. We actually just got to the point to where Jinbei was basically, you know, saying he wants to leave Big Mom's crew. That's as far as we got right now in the anime. And so, yeah, well, we're pretty ways away from after Dressrosa now, but I've been meaning to make a topic video on this since I finished it. So, I finally finished it. how do I feel about it? How do I feel about Dressrosa, the arc that made me stop watching the One Piece anime? Granted, I have been watching the One Piece anime here and there every so often, certain scenes and stuff. Like, I've seen, the Brook scene with Big Mom and all that. I've already seen that scene. I watch certain scenes here and there, but overall, I haven't, officially watched episode by episode in a very long time. I think the last time I did was probably 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. It was one of those years. It was 2015 or 2016. I just stopped watching the anime. It's just, I couldn't take it any longer. And now, after rewatching it, my thoughts of the arc has definitely changed quite a bit. They definitely have. So, to clarify, looking at the arc, I don't think it is as bad as everybody makes it out to be. Now, like I said, I was one of those that didn't like it, because it was slow. And after really looking at it, it is still a slow arc. But I feel like One Piece is a better series when you binge watch it, instead of watch it episode by episode, or read it chapter by chapter. I just feel like this series was designed for just binge readers or binge watchers. Because let's think back on everything, okay? Majority of people that really got into One Piece was probably at the time to when Sabaody and, we had the stuff going on with the Whitebeard War. That's when many really kind of got into One Piece. That was the big time when One Piece was really exploding with popularity, and, many were like, whoa, I want to get more of this series. And at the time when many were catching up, it was a big, long journey. So much crazy stuff going on. I mean, when you really think about it, when many of us probably started One Piece, we had to binge it a little bit. We either had to binge it through the manga, or we had to binge it through the anime. And when we started the series, we were probably really into it because there was just so much content, just so many things you had to soak in and understand, because there was just so much going on. It was such a vast world. And so I feel like many that got into the series was thanks to the binge watching, just watching episode by episode, like one after another, or reading chapter by chapter, just so much content, and that caused where many just fell in love with the series, grew connected with the characters, and like, you want more. And I feel like that was probably the best time I ever had when it came to One Piece, watching it in chunks, binge watching it. And when you finally catch up to the series, it just feels slow. It feels like it's not really going anywhere. After binge watching it for like many episodes or reading it for many chapters, it just doesn't feel the same anymore. And now that I'm pretty much caught up with the anime now, like we're almost caught up, I will definitely say that One Piece is a better series binged than just episode by episode or chapter by chapter. Easily. Because the content, Dressrosa is definitely an arc that cannot be truly appreciated unless you probably read it in big chunks. If you just read it like chapter by chapter, it's gonna feel slow. It's gonna feel like barely anything is happening because of how One Piece arcs really are. Like, let's kind of get some clarification of that. One Piece usually has a standard formula when it comes to its arcs. It has a very, interesting and chaotic beginning, like all this crazy setup for the arc, and then you have a very slow middle that just can get somewhat boring or just very slow, and then you have the last part of the arc, which is just a chaotic climax to the arc that's just insane and blows your mind. Dressrosa is a perfect example. It had a very insane beginning, a very long and slow middle, and then a crazy final part of the arc, and that is typically how all One Piece arcs are. The only reason why Dressrosa stands out so much when it comes to that middle half is because of how long of an arc it was. It was a very long arc. I think it's probably one of the longest arcs in anime, actually, for One Piece. I could be wrong there, but I think it is. It was an extremely long arc. It actually was the longest arc for me and my friend. It was probably the longest it took for us to finish an arc of One Piece, because we have been binging this series for about 2 to 3 months now, and I think that arc was what we were stuck on for a good long while. I think we were stuck on that arc for about 2.5, 3 weeks, easily. It was just a very long arc and all that, and I can definitely see why many would probably want to drop the series or drop the anime because of the arc if you had to watch it episode by episode, because of just how it is. So I think, honestly, Dressrosa gets too much hate. I mean, I feel like Oda probably designed this series for people that actually want to binge it, instead of by chapter. I really do, because I have probably fallen in love with One Piece all over again. I have fallen in love with One Piece all over again after rewatching the anime, and looking at Dressrosa, and now I finished Zoe as well, and I'm in Whole Cake Island, and all the other arcs I watched too, I don't think the anime is nearly as bad as everybody believes it to be, and what I used to think it was too. I just think what it really does come down to is that the series of One Piece is just not designed for a weekly watch. I just don't think it is. I really don't. And that's amazing when you think about it, because just imagine this. If the series is really designed to be like binge watched or binge read, just imagine when the series is finally complete like a decade from now, okay? Like, example. Let's say you've heard about One Piece, which you should, because almost everyone in the anime community or manga community has, at the very least, heard through word of mouth or something about One Piece. Imagine when you finally hear about One Piece, and then you finally decide to sit down. Now, let's just say One Piece is done. It's complete, okay? You finally decide to sit down and tackle all of those insane chapters or episodes. Just imagine the journey. Just imagine the journey of the series. Being able to watch the series in chunks, from start to finish. Just think about that. Process that in your mind. It would probably be insane just to see all the things that change and happen from point A to point B. And I feel like once this series is finally done, that's when the true gold mine of One Piece will really start to show. It may already be a good series right now, one of the best series to come out in Japan. But I feel like what will really make One Piece a hallmarker of a series and one of the best series of all time is when it's finally complete. When the final chapter comes out and Oda turns the final page of the book and closes it, and that big long journey is complete, when someone finally sits down and starts it for the first time, and when they finally close that final page, I feel like that's when they'll realize they can probably never find anything as good as One Piece, just because of how well crafted the story of One Piece is. And I feel like that's what it really comes down to, is that the series, it's better in bulk. And I enjoyed it so much more. I really appreciated Dressrosa more than I ever did, or I ever thought I would. So, yeah. Now, to kind of leave it at that, I say one of the big things, though, even after rewatching it, there is one big thing that does stand out to me. And the one thing that I think that was probably one of the worst aspects of the arc was definitely the Tontatas, the dwarfs. I think they're probably one of the worst elements of the arc, just because of just their dynamic overall. It just felt very weird, or just, I don't know, just the flow of them in the story just felt very off. But, I mean, they were very important in a way. I mean, they had, the entire stuff with Usopp going on, to, the stuff going on with, Manchuri, and then also the stuff with Nolan the Liar. I mean, there was a lot of clarification stuff like that. And also the Void Century too, kind of what, the original, family, what, the Don Quixote family was doing to the Tontatas. I mean, they were important. They were very important. World building wise, they were important, but when I look at everything in the arc, they felt like a little add-on compared to anything else. They just felt like this little detail that, honestly, the arc could have been better without. But even then, though, they weren't that bad. So, was Dressrosa good? What was the arc good in the anime? Yeah, I say it's not that bad. I don't think it's that bad. And I do want to clarify something that many seem to not understand about One Piece's recap as well, because that's one of the big issues people have with the anime. One Piece doesn't have an ending song. I don't know if anyone actually has ever taken a moment to realize that, but One Piece doesn't have an ending song. And ending songs could typically be around like a minute to 2 minutes, sometimes 2 minutes and a half, okay? So you calculate that with an opening song of an anime, you have almost 5 minutes right then and there. So, in reality, One Piece's recap and opening one after another at the beginning of the episode, it's probably still a little bit longer, but it's still probably around almost the same time as a normal series. But it just doesn't have an ending song. It just decides to use the ending song time as its recap and extend the opening a little bit longer. That's basically what it really comes down to in the anime. So, if you're really going to look at the recap and the opening to judge the anime, then I think you're kind of misguided there, because there's no ending song. So, it's not like, there's extra time being used up. If there was an ending song and the long recap and the opening song, then I understand why people would complain about it, but there is no ending song. So, they're just using the time from an ending song for a recap. That's it. Instead of putting it, like, in between, like, for instance, having the opening song and the ending song at the end, they just put it all right at the beginning of the episode, and then there you go. So you got just one big burst of content. But yeah, I want to leave it at that, though. I think Dressrosa is a good arc. I don't think it's the best arc, but I do think it's a pretty enjoyable arc. And to kind of clarify how my friend feels about Dressrosa, I asked him. He actually says he likes Dressrosa. He says it's one of his favorite arcs. It's definitely one of the best, New World arcs he has seen. He says he liked it a lot, and he really thinks, Daffy is one of the best villains of the series. So, yeah, I'm actually pretty shocked about that. He really does like it. Now, this is coming from a man that has not read the manga. He's a first-time watcher of One Piece. He really enjoys Dressrosa. So, yeah, that's his overall opinion of it. So I'm going to end it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about, Dressrosa. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? And if you've yet to rewatch it, give it a watch. Rewatch it or reread it. Maybe you might like it. Maybe it might change your opinion of it. Just go for it. Check it out. See it for yourself because, my opinion has been changed now after rewatching it. So I want to end it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below next to the subscribe button. So please be safe. Chibi out.